collection, we will minister the song, No Matter What, I'm Going to Keep On Praising the Lord. It is not technically a spiritual, but it comes from the collection of spirituals that Dr. Wise arranged, and it is considered a 21st century concert a cappella piece. No matter what, I'm going to keep on praising the Lord. And now I would like to
welcome you into this space on tonight, and I know on a night such as this, we ought to be glad and celebrate that there were those who once had a mentality that they would do whatever it took until they made it. And so we are the benefactors of that making it attitude. And so on tonight, we are here to pay homage and also here to celebrate a wonderful moment in the life of this community. I know I'm speaking on behalf of our pastor, the leader here, Pastor Michael A. Wallen Jr., and the entire FCBC family. We say welcome, and we are honored to serve as a host venue for such a powerful collaborative initiative between Lynch Associates, Harlem, Finsbury, and Syracuse University in bringing this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful opportunity here in the heart of Central Harlem. And so we're excited on tonight. We are privileged on tonight, and we're so glad that this is just the first of many opportunities like this. And so we encourage you to get comfortable and to just open yourself to experience this night. As a note of housekeeping, we just ask and remind everyone to please silence your cell phones so that it may not serve as a distraction for anyone. And just make sure that you enjoy yourself on tonight. Also, please, there will be a brief period following the film where you'll have a chance to interact with the film's producers and a special panel in the form of question and answer. So please remain with us and join us for that. Amen? All right, enjoy the film. Without further ado, please enjoy the special screening of 300 Miles to Freedom.
He eventually ended up in Canada, and you notice at the beginning and the end of the film, it's kind of bracketed by these flying geese in terms of understanding direction and everything, because these are the Canadian geese, and so they're getting on back home. So at the North Star, I mean, they had a number of ways and signals along the way. We talk about the quilts. It didn't come out in this particular film, but many people talk about the quilts that were placed in strategic places along the Underground Rail to give you signals, whether this was a safe house, a refuge, whether you should, hey, hurry up and keep right on going because it's not safe around here, the bounty hunters are about. So you have this situation where, to contextualize the escape aspect, it's phenomenal that you can get out. I mean, people who got out from the Deep South was rare. When you're coming out of Virginia, some of the border states, it was much easier. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, but Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, it was a challenge to go that far. Or Louisiana, you saw the image of the man there with welts all on his back. That picture was out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, of an escaped runaway slave who ended up with the Northern Forces. His name was Gordon. And they have replicated that photo again and again in books all over, so it's good to see that that was there. So you contextualize it in terms of the whole escape thing, because there was William and Ellen Craft, to say nothing of Henry Box Brown, who mailed himself to freedom. So that's where you begin to understand this whole phenomenon of how absolutely challenging and difficult it was once you were enslaved. Ordinarily, the average slave never traveled more than 25 miles in their lifetime. They were pretty much confined to the plantation where they were born.
Well, media is a very important aspect, as everyone here knows.
It was awfully lucky of him to, like, somehow or another wind up with people that were related to Mark Twain. I mean, talk about media in that day. That was the perfect place for him to be. That was, I don't know whether that was an accident or whether John W. Jones, again, was such a great organizer that he organized his way over to the Loudon family and got with Mark Twain. So he had his nice little media connection. And in media, there's sometimes safety, and from my experience, sometimes a lot of danger. This is Fox News.
But to that context, it's very important that there are media outlets who are showcasing stories like John W. Jones. I don't know how many other people knew of John W. Jones before tonight, but stories like his are not being told. And when we, even in New York, we talk about ABC and Like It Is, there's always a continual fight to keep that show alive and to keep other shows like that alive. You as an organizer, you as a historian, we're going to talk to the filmmakers in a second, but talk about the continual fight and what's necessary to keep that going, to keep stories like this alive.
Well, that's certainly a very significant, important concern, Roy, to make sure that, having the media is one thing. We understand that generally the mainstream media, let me just give you a good example. Last week, tens of thousands of people, led by the NAACP and a number of unions in this town, marched through Midtown Manhattan. From Madison Avenue, the Koch brothers, the industry there, all the way to Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. You open up the paper, I look at the New York Times the next day, and I got it kind of excited. It said, tens of thousands, marched in Russia. Not in New York City. So what do we, chop liver? I mean, come on. None of the mainstream press, none of the television stations were out there. And so it was left to like the alternative press. And certainly the minority press, to keep up and make that story resonate for people who did not get out there and understand that folks were out there standing for freedom, marching for justice, talking about, fighting against the suppression of our voting rights. There's some very critical issues out there, the extension of the whole OWS situation. And you got no press, no media on that of any major. The mainstream media just was absolutely absent, void, negligent on that. But nonetheless, we got that story out. We got it in this week's Amsterdam News. It was picked up. Of course, a number of smaller alternative papers picked that up. And it shows you exactly what's happening with the media and how we have to begin to dig into our history. I mean, for to go back to get a John W. Jones story, that's important. I mean, it just shows you how many other stories out there. I mean, this is what scratches the surface of the stories to be told. And of course, Hollywood has helped us very little on this situation. In fact, when they get it, they soon just stay out of it because it becomes Holly weird, and so they can't seem to get it right, get it right.
And so what do? We have to make a way where there ain't no way. Always have. I think that when you know that the mainstream media is not interested unless you push it, you force it, you have a certain kind of angle, I think it's good that we are living in an age where we have alternative media. The internet, is not evil. Cyberspace is not a bad place. It can be used, and we have to use social networking and all of the modern tools of this 21st century way of people communicating. And the other thing is you go to our folks. Someone said that in 2010, between 2010 and 2011, black folks accounted for 1 trillion with a T, buying power. We were equivalent to some small country, just black folks in this country. The 8th largest nation. I mean, so I think it is, when you do something like this, that it is in the interest of the powers that be to perpetuate the stereotype. John W. Jones, I have to confess, I didn't know about John W. Jones, and that's why I was happy when I found out about the film. And I was also, and I have to, always causing trouble. I state the obvious. We have I think, a brother from another mother here, 2 brothers from another mother, to make this film. To make this film, you know, and I think that's part of the hook too that we need, you know, to market this film, to make it a phenomenon. Because unless we make those bridges, unless we go outside the box, we have to slap the mainstream media up beside their head. And the thing is this is a phenomenon. This is something that, you know how they do a novel, then they do, you know, novel goes to, do a play, do a novel, and then a book, and then the movie. So now all you have to just do is put out the rumor. Put out the rumor. Whoever the hottest hip-hop artist is right now, you should say there's a movie coming out. Who is John W. Jones? And then I think, you know, you use by any means necessary.
Mr. Breyer, as a filmmaker from another mother, please talk.
We don't know that for sure. You know. I want to say one thing, which is mainstream media. You know, that thing we watch on that box. It's not the same as events like tonight.
No.
That's what I mean. I think this church, I think this community, and that's where change happens. You know, I don't want to go too far with this, but it almost doesn't make difference what's on whatever, the network, because it all looks the same and tastes the same. But when you're with young people who respond, an audience responds, the kind of hearing from elders, with the exception of mine, and we hope to hear from them. I think that's a different kind of media.
I mean, the historical context of this film is really important and profound, as we all know. But at the core of this film, which attracted me and Professor Breyer, is the human story that it tells. It's a story of perseverance. It's a story of, you know, against all adversity, getting to a place and making something of yourself. I mean, this story can resonate even today. Of course, the adversity we're talking about in those days, there's no comparison. But it is a human story of, you know, succeeding with having a goal to get somewhere and become something. And even in the end, the lady said, you know, education and these kind of things even kind of resonate in today's world. So I think this film is a universal story, and I don't see why it should not go beyond a venue like this or beyond Fox Television for all I care. I mean, we make films because we want people to see them. As many people as possible in as many venues as possible, on the internet, on your iPhone, or wherever. I mean, the point is to get it seen, and, you know, if there's media out there that can help us get it seen, then please talk to us.
Well, part of this entire forum tonight is to, one, show you guys who John W. Jones was, and of course to have some perspective on it with the panels here. But we also want to create an exchange and a dialogue, and we want to put the microphone out there in the audience, and we want to get you guys to engage with the members of the panel and to ask questions that you may have about the film, about African American history, whatever you guys want to talk about. We want to hear from you. So I believe there's a microphone here in the front, and if there are any takers, you can work your way down.